Brittany. This is the Brittany React Show, and on this show we talk all things movies and entertainment. Today we have actually a few good things to go over. We have a new trailer for the new Fantastic Four movie. We have to talk about the reactions to Superman. Some people have seen it, so we're going to talk about what people are saying about it. We have a lot of other good things that I didn't put on the thumbnail. Lots of Marvel, DC, some Disney, some box office stuff. So we got a lot of wide variety of things to discuss today. But of course, I do want to say hi. How are you doing? Hi, Natanya. Hi, Rodney. Hi, Kassarim. Hi, Selena. Hi, Prototype. Hi, Will French. Hi, Sunset Draws. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Mythical Phoenix Heart. Hi, Cheetah Viper. And thank you to you guys for showing up on a random Sunday. Deeply, deeply appreciate it. Also, I wanted to say that over the weekend, actually over the past week, not the weekend, I did get to see two movies. So I know I've been kind of behind on my movie watching. But I did see Elio, and I did see the new Mission Impossible finally. I still haven't seen the live action How to Train Your Dragon yet, and I didn't see Megan. But I did see Elio and Mission Impossible, and I will do a little mini review of Elio later. If you want some of my thoughts on the Mission Impossible movie, I can say I liked it. I really liked it. I thought it was entertaining. I know that some of the reactions to it were mixed, but I actually genuinely thought it was fun. I thought the movie was good. I liked the ending. I know some people didn't like the ending, but I was waiting for the ending to be bad, and then I was like, wait, but I thought this was the best part. I don't know. I thought the Mission Impossible, the actual mission that he had to do in the movie, where he was underwater and trying to go through that submarine. I thought that whole sequence was super super cool. Um, I have not seen F1. No, I have never seen F1, nor have I said I've seen F1. Um, and to be honest, I have so many other movies that I need to see first that I probably won't get around to it just because I have no interest in that film. Um, but yes, I have seen two of the movies that I've missed. So I do recommend Mission Impossible, highly recommend. But I'm gonna get into Elio later. But let's just keep going. I know some of you really want to talk about the Tom Holland Bond news, but we'll see. It's not news yet. It's, well, sort of news, but we'll talk about it. We do need to start with the box office first, though. So just recapping where we are with Lilo and Stitch. So it is on track to pass a billion. I think it'll just barely get there. It's not going to get very far past a billion, but it will cross. And because of that, a sequel to the live action Lilo and Stitch movie is already in the works. So it doesn't matter that I didn't like it, and I think a lot of other Disney fans didn't like it. The general audience didn't care about the changes. They said that they liked the movie anyway, and it's going to make $1 billion. So it's a no-brainer that they're making a sequel. I'm not shocked that they're making a sequel. This makes a lot of sense that they're making a sequel. I just sincerely hope that they stick more closely to what the original values of the first movie was, which was Ohana, hello, family. And I'm one of the people that really didn't like the ending, even though yes, I know there was the portal gun and she could cross through any time. That's not the point. The whole issue was that she still went away because that was seen as better for her, and I just felt like that goes against the whole concept of Ohana, what the original movie was about. Her sister was trying so hard to keep Lilo, and then in the movie it was well, you're right, it's too hard. I hate it. I still hate it. I still have a problem with it, but okay. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't like it. I know other people don't like it, but enough people did that it's gonna make $1 billion, and the sequel will probably do okay. I don't know if the sequel will make a billion because they're not. I mean, I know there's been a Lilo and Stitch show and some spin offs and stuff, but I don't think any of that was as successful as the original movie. So I don't know what they're gonna do with the sequel because there's nothing to directly really try to redo that's as popular as the first one. So I feel like it's probably going to be, the sequel's probably going to make less than the first one, just like how the Mufasa sequel made less than the Lion King movie. But it still did well, so I would predict the sequel will probably have a similar fall. Well, it won't do as well, but it'll probably still do okay. But are you guys looking forward to Lilo and Stitch? Do you guys think that this is a good idea? Are you into these movies? What are your thoughts about the sequel here? Donatello says, if they do go forward with the second movie, I hope they get a bigger budget so that they can do better jokes and comedic bits with Stitch. Yeah, I thought I think a bigger budget will definitely happen just because now they've seen like how successful it can be. I think it's weird that they didn't realize that at first because like Stitch already sells really well with merchandise, so they should have known that like the fan base was there. But whatever. Um, but I agree with you in the sense that I do think Stitch needs a bigger role in the sequel. If you watched my review, one of the things that I also didn't like care for about the movie was that I kind of felt like Stitch was like the third most important character in the story, and he was just kind of there to move the plot along. And I was like, Stitch is supposed to be like a big deal, and I feel like he wasn't really a big deal in his own movie. So I do hope, and I do think part of that was because of budget. They didn't want to show him off too much, and that's the same reason why they didn't even show off like all of the alien characters from the original, because probably because of the budget reasons. So I hope that with a bigger budget they can do more with Stitch and the other aliens. That's a good point. Left on Furia says you're not seeing any of these Disney live action movies. That's fair. I know a lot of people who are just done. Like my friends are done. They hate them. I don't know anyone who's like, yeah, these live action movies are good. That's why I'm like, who's actually saw this movie and was like, yeah, let's have more of this. I don't know. Um, Yeah, I mean, generally, I'm seeing a lot of you guys are just like, I hope they fix what what you didn't like about the first movie. Because I feel like the first movie was almost good. I feel like it would have just been better if they had been more accurate to the source material. Um, yeah, we'll talk about Elio. Elio is original, but Elio is not doing well. In fact, let's just move on because we will get to Elio eventually. So let's talk about F1. So F1 did open and it actually opened extremely well. So it opened well above estimates. It opened to 144 million worldwide, which for a race car film with a star Brad Pitt, who I is maybe controversial or maybe that's just online, I don't know. I do wish more people would condemn alleged abusers, but apparently there's a lot of people who just don't care about that stuff, which is really disappointing. But anyway, this movie's doing much better than I expected it would do. I don't think I'm the target audience for this film, not even because of Brad Pitt, just because like I don't do sports movies. Um, so yeah, I mean, I guess for the dads, I think this movie is like really big. I don't know if anyone who's like a dad in the audience or like who has a dad who was like, yeah, I wanted to go see this movie because I feel like this movie is like the quintessential dad film. Um, that's probably why it's doing so well, and because I think Brad Pitt is still like a draw for older audiences. So I think that's probably also part of it too. What do you guys think about F1? Did you actually see it? Are you surprised that it did well? What are your thoughts here? Eugene, okay, F1 was awesome, especially in IMAX. I will say that a lot of the reviews around this film have been like glowing. Like people who have seen this movie do love it. So I'm sure it'll have good word of mouth and it'll probably hold well week to week just because of what I'm hearing about it. Still doesn't convince me to go and see it, especially when I have some other movies I need to see first. Um, but like if you're into these kinds of films, it sounds like it's going to be a good one. Um, Rodney says it's taking all the IMAX screens. It's just desperate. I mean, what else could play in IMAX right now? I mean, I'm sure Jurassic World will take the IMAX screens and then Superman, so it won't have the IMAX screens for long. You agree with me though? Screw that film. I don't know. Um, Red Star says you're surprised because you barely saw any promotion for the film. Yeah, I didn't either. I don't know if it's just because I'm not the target audience and maybe they weren't targeting their marketing towards me. I don't know. I also have YouTube Red and don't watch cable, so like the only ads I ever see are like what I see scrolling on my timeline. So it's like I'm like the kind of user that's very hard to reach with advertising. So I don't know. I also didn't see like the trailer much before other movies. I go to the movies a lot and like I didn't see this movie like this trailer wasn't constantly played in front of every movie, which is interesting. Maybe it was just the kind of movies I was seeing. I don't know. But yeah, I would agree that like I feel like the marketing for this movie wasn't as like in your face as it could have been. Like I kind of feel like that Ford v Ferrari movie had bigger marketing or just noticed it more. Christian says, "How sad is it for us audiences since the best Disney movie this year so far was Marvel's Thunderbolts, and even that unfortunately performed underperformed as well. Still watching Elio because of good word of mouth. Well, I mean, we'll see about how you feel about Elio. We'll get to my review in a second. Um, yeah, a lot of you hadn't seen the trailers either. Rodney thought the trailers were terrible. I thought the trailers also were pretty bad, to be honest. I thought it told you nothing about the movie other than Brad Pitt's in it, which I guess is the selling point. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe people who saw this movie they saw it mainly for him, but yeah, I didn't really see like the trailer didn't really give much other selling point. Um, Wait, Jurassic World will only be in Dolby? Are you kidding? They're keeping IMAX for this movie over Jurassic World? Really? A race car movie? Well, that's unfortunate. We'll see if Jurassic World is good though. All right, let's move on to the next one. So, we have to talk about Megan because Megan 2.0 flopped. Like, flopped so badly. Like, whoo. I mean, the first one opened to 30 million domestic, okay? And it went on to making like over 100 million. I think it was 180 million worldwide, which is actually really strong. So, I mean, the first movie, if you remember, it was only like 2 years ago. Like, it had a lot of buzz. It had a lot of attention. People were talking about it. It was very camp. It went viral on TikTok many times. I thought the marketing for the first movie was overall much stronger than the marketing for this movie. I thought the marketing for this movie actually was quite bad. And let me explain why. So, as someone who liked the first movie and was excited for the first movie before it came out, I know what I was looking forward to was, or what I liked about it was that it was like the idea of a creepy doll that was also kind of like camp and like cool in a way. Like, I thought that was really fun, but it was still at the heart of the film, like a horror movie. Like, it was a scary movie, you know? But this sequel, based on the trailer and everything I've heard about the movie, it sounds like it's more of a action comedy now. Like, they made this, instead of it being like a horror movie, it's now more of like an action comedy. And that is not what and I'm going to assume other people who were interested in the first movie liked about this series or this character. I feel like they took the memes that the first movie got and they went like over the cliff with them. Like, I feel like they completely misinterpreted what people liked about the first movie and they doubled down on the worst elements. Because, like, the trailer, from the very first Megan 2 trailer I saw, was like, oh, what is this? This looks wildly different from the first movie. And as someone who liked the first movie, I was like, I don't like that. So I think I think there's two main reasons why this movie didn't do well. One, I think they tried to change too much. They thought that the audience wanted something, like, funny and campy when, like, the first movie was campy because it was like ironically campy. This time they try to like be in on the joke, so to speak, and I think that's why it just like whenever like someone tries to get in on their own meme, that the meme ends up dying. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what happened with Megan is they try to lean too much into their own memeness, and it killed the meme. I think that's really what happened. I think they doubled down on like all the comedy and they should have doubled down on the campy horror. I think that's what they should have done. And then also, I feel like part of why the first movie did well is Barbie. If you guys remember 2 years ago, Barbie came out that summer. And I feel like the hype around even though the two didn't come out like close to each other, they still came out in the same year, and this came out before Barbie did. I just feel like there was like so much hype and interest around Barbie and like seeing something so girly and campy that I think Megan actually benefited just in relation. I think that like seeing another campy doll like singing and like killing people was like, I think it just like really fit in the Barbie wave that was happening that year. And now without Barbie, I just kind of don't feel like people are, there's just not that wave that it can ride anymore. And I don't think the first movie was ended up being strong enough, which is maybe the third reason, is that the first movie, even though I liked it, it wasn't like as strong as I was expecting. I do remember a lot of people like being a little bit disappointed by the first movie, so that also could be a reason why this one didn't do well. But those are like my three reasons why I think this movie is flopping dramatically compared to the first movie. Were you guys interested in seeing Megan 2? Do you agree with my points? What are your thoughts here and why this happened? Um Red Star says some movies nowadays is trying too hard to be campy or a meme, like which causes them to flop. Yeah, I think this is a great example of one where they just tried too hard to like ride their own meme wave and they killed the joke. I think that's what happened. Jordan says, I liked the change, but you're right. It could have alienated some people. And I think I am some people because I didn't like the change. That's why as soon as I saw the first trailer, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. Um, Rodney says they took away all the camp to make the first one so iconic. Yeah, I don't understand. I feel like they really misunderstood why people like the first movie. I think they very much misunderstood what the draw was there. Um, Jordan says the first one was campy. This is Mission Impossible. Yeah, I was like, if you guys remember the first trailer for Megan 2, half of the trailer is like all about this other doll because they introduced this like villain doll that's like all in pink in this one, and I was like, what the heck is this doll? I don't want this other doll. I want Megan. Like they turned Megan into like the hero of the story, and I was like, this is no, this is not good. Um, but yeah, I'm glad that a lot of you are agreeing with some of my points. Although Nizal Nizalama says you just don't care for it. I get it. I get it. I don't think the original was for everyone, but I do think it had its audience. And then it like shifted in the sequel, and now it's like has no audience. I think that's what happened here. That is my hot take on Megan. Again, it got 56% on Rotten Tomatoes, so like the reviews also aren't very good, so that's probably also part of it. Now let's talk about Elio. Yeah, this was from last week. If you guys remember, it opened as the worst opening for a Pixar film ever with 21 million. And then this week, it actually had a pretty big drop for something that opened so low. So, Luis Fernando, I really like him for box office news, but he also tends to like put almost everything into like a rosy spin because I think he's just trying to help the industry. So he says that the drop wasn't that bad, but I disagree. This was almost a 50% drop on a 21 million opening. A 50% drop normally wouldn't be that bad, but when the opening is that low to begin with, I do think that is a bad drop. He gave some other comparisons here. So this would be a bigger drop than what Elemental had, and it really would have needed to have like a similar drop to Elemental to like leg out, and it's just not going to do that. It's a bigger drop than Wild Robot. It's a bigger drop than... Okay, it's not a bigger drop than The Good Dinosaur or Onward, which is nice. But Onward, I feel like we can put an asterisk on it because Onward literally came out the weekend before the world shut down in 2020, so I don't count Onward. That's not that film's fault. But yeah, to be in like this territory is not good. I do think that this is bad for Pixar. Just when I'm like scrolling through YouTube, I'm seeing more videos of people talking about how the art style, the Pixar CalArts Bean Mouth art style, is so freaking out of date and just tired that I really do think that the visuals of this movie alone, like even down to the alien designs, are part of why this movie like did not capture a big audience. It seems like the audience that did go, some of them did like it because it did get an A cinema score, which is good. However, I don't think that crowd that was interested in this movie and liked this movie is big enough for what Pixar needs to be successful. And here's why. So now that I have seen this movie, I can give you a bit more info about why I personally didn't like it. So here's I'm going to do like a quick review on Elio since I've now seen it. I think Elio is an okay movie for 8-year-olds who have an interest in space. And I think that is solely the target audience. I don't see anyone outside of that being interested in it. Maybe little girls who are interested in space. I was a little girl who was interested in space. But I think that even when I was a little kid, I don't think I would have liked this movie. I think that it's very bland. I think the story is paint by numbers. I thought it was super predictable. I thought it had no depth. I thought it was very shallow. I thought the animation was fugly. I think it was honestly very elementary. Like, this felt like the director's first movie they ever made. And I think looking at the directors, it might be some of their first movies they ever directed. And it feels that way. It just does. It feels very like student project to me. Like, I think like the Minions movies have more depth and more creativity than this movie. Um, I was very bored. And again, I was thinking about my younger self. I was like, okay, I know this is meant for kids, however, but like, I don't even think like kid me would have liked this. Kid me loved Wally. Adult me still loves Wally, but like kid me, I walked into that theater and like fell in love with that movie. I loved Wally because I was a girl that loved space. So like a space movie as good as Wally is like right up my alley, okay? This comparing something like Wally to Elio is like comparing, I don't know, man, like The Godfather to The Room. Like it's like night and day compared to like what Pixar used to be capable of pulling off versus what they do now. And I'm like, both are space movies, but they're like night and day in how they depict the richness of space and the story and like one of the reasons I love Wally so much is because I like the existential aspect of it. I love that it gets you thinking about like, you know, humanity and what we're doing to the environment, what could happen in the future. Like Wally still gets referenced today because it's so like it's such good commentary that it's still relevant today. I mean, people still compare like major conglomerates to like By and Large and like you know whatever people talk about people getting lazy, people always point to like the big people on the ship being in the chairs. Like Wally's still a reference today because it's a very smart story with a deep script that had gorgeous animation and visuals that just felt like it was made by seasoned veterans who knew what they were doing. And that is nothing that I can say about Elio. Elio feels like it was made by beginners who didn't trust kids to be able to follow anything even remotely complicated. And so they dumbed everything down. They simplified everything. They even like the framing of each shot is like bland. Like everything is almost center. Like everything is like there's nothing visually interesting happening on screen at any time. Like it's not just the story is basic and bland, but the visuals are basic and bland. And like the story is so predictable, you know everything that's going to happen in this movie. I had to use the bathroom in the middle of this film and I decided to go. And when I got back, it was like, okay, I missed nothing because like it's so simple, like you cannot get lost. Like it's and the villain is horrible. The villain is like makes no sense really, like the motives and everything. It feels like the movie was heavily re-edited and you can just tell. And I genuinely thought this was the worst Pixar movie I'd ever seen. Like I think it's the worst movie Pixar has ever made. I haven't seen Cars 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cars 2 was even better than this. Like I really truly hated this movie. Like I usually when I go to a movie, like I try to give it my 100% all attention. Like I don't want to be that person that's like, you know, on their phone or whatever. But this one movie, I was tempted. And I was way in the back, no one was near me, like I wanted to take out my phone because I was so bored. I was like, nothing's happening. This is so like paint by numbers. This is so like how to make an animated movie 101 and Cal Arts freshman year. Like I did not like this movie whatsoever. This is my least favorite Pixar movie. Before my least favorite Pixar movie was Brave, and that is like freaking Shakespeare compared to this movie. Um I didn't like it at all. I don't understand why it has positive like word of mouth. I don't get it. I think if you have very low expectations and you think kids movies should be just like dumb slop, then maybe you think this movie's okay for kids. But if you think that like kids deserve better, then this movie is not good. It's not. I can't recommend it. I honestly would give it like a 2 out of 10. Like I really didn't like it at all. Um and if I had kids or like I have a nephew, no, not a nephew. I have a niece, sorry. I wouldn't take her to see this. Like I would be like there are much better things you could do with your brain and your time. But that's my honest opinion on Elio. I did not care for it whatsoever. Um, Donna Todd says, "Wait, you don't like Brave? Everyone I know loves that movie." I never liked that movie. Even when it came out, I was like, I didn't like Merida herself. I thought she was okay. I guess maybe that's a good like jumping off point, so I can explain something about like my taste in movies and whatnot. One of the reasons I didn't like Merida is because she was like the antithesis of everything a Disney princess normally was on purpose. I mean, that was the whole point of like Merida was that she didn't want to be a princess. She was more of a tomboy. She didn't even like wearing her dresses and all of that. And like back then when that movie came out, that was progressive, that was new, that was bold. But funnily enough, this just shows you how consistent my views have always been. I hated that ish even back then. I did. I really did. Because I was like, I wanted to watch a Disney princess movie because I like princesses in pretty gowns. Like, I don't want to watch a princess being like, oh, why do I have to be a royalty? Why do I have to be royal? Why do I have to wear a dress? This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And even back then, I was like, girl, grow up. Like, there are worse things in life. Like, I've just never, like, been able to relate to or, like, understand the sort of concept, especially in a Disney princess movie, of all things, where it's like, we're gonna make this princess hate being a princess. And it's like, and to be honest, they have not really made a princess movie where the princess liked being a princess in a very long time. Um, and I wish that they would go back to that. I think this whole like new age stuff that they're doing is not even like inventive anymore because everyone and their mother is doing this now. So I think something that actually would be fresh and inventive is a princess that actually likes being a princess. That would be amazing. And like actually wears like a nice pretty gown and like wants to just like help people. Like, oh, that would be so nice. But no, we get, oh, this is awful. I hate my life. I just want to be a tomboy. Somehow they think that's progressive because a girl wanting to be a boy is like progressive. That's weird. But anyway, that's why I never liked Brave, but that was just like a side point. But anyway, Prototype says Brave is a bit disappointing. The plot is all about avoiding marriage. I wanted it to be about a warrior princess and her mother going on a grand adventure to cure the mother from the disease. That sounds so much better than what we got, but what we got was we're gonna turn into bears. And I thought that was the stupidest thing ever. So like I said, for a long time, Merida was my least favorite Pixar movie, but now it's Elio. Or I should put it this way. That's how much I do not like this movie, because I thought it was just a bunch of nothingness. And I think the animation looks better in Brave. I think they at least tried more in Brave. This movie is like beginner, like first semester, year one, how to make a Pixar film. I'm sorry. That's how I would describe this movie. It's like I honestly I gave it a 2 just because like I didn't want to be mean, but like it could be a 1. It's like a 1 out of 10 for me. I really did not like this movie. Um but if you like Merida and Brave, because I know there are people who like Brave in that movie, I'm just not one of them. That's okay. We can agree to disagree on this channel, but that's just my opinion on why I did not like that movie, or I still don't. Um, but yeah. Okay, moving on. So now we're going to move on to entertainment news. Speaking of Elio, because of how bad the movie is doing, so Pete Docter, who's the current head of Pixar, says that to mitigate some financial risks, they're now landing on the model of one original film followed by one sequel film. So right now they just had, an original film, and then presumably next would be a sequel film, which it is. Oh no. What is the next Pixar film? Isn't the next Pixar film also an original? Because they have that Hoppers movie that also looks really bad. Um, I don't know, but he says this is the model now. So we're going to be seeing a lot more sequels. I already told you about Incredibles 3. They're doing another, Toy Story movie. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh yeah, Ratatouille 2. I believe I saw something about Ratatouille 2. They're thinking about a Ratatouille 2, which makes a lot of sense. Um, they already did one for Finding Nemo, although I can't imagine a Finding Nemo 3. I don't think that would work. I didn't like Finding Nemo 2, so I would say no to Finding Nemo 3. Um, but yeah, we're probably going to see sequels to all of these films because apparently they need them because their original movies flopped so badly they threatened to tank the entire studio, which is essentially what happened here. Sorry, I had to move that over. Um, Wait, what happened here? Okay. Sorry, it looked a little weird, but I think I fixed it. Um, so yeah, I think this makes sense. Like financially, I get it. You got to do the sequels to make up for the originals, but I think the originals would do better if like they just came up with better ideas. Like I think also one of the things I didn't like about Elio was that like just the pitch of it is basic. Like to give you the general, I guess, story of Elio is that like this boy whose parents had just died because this is Disney. Um, he really feels like he wants to be abducted by aliens because he feels like maybe he'll be able to like relate to the aliens more and whatnot. And that sounds like it should be tragic and sad, but like it was done in such like a blah way that I didn't even feel any emotion around that. Like the kid just lost his parents and like that should be like more of a like an emotionally hard hitting thing and it just wasn't. And that just like goes to show you like how weak the writing was. But then he does get abducted and he goes to like this alien place or whatever and hijinks ensues and that's like the general setup of the film, right? It's extremely basic. There is no like elevator pitch for this movie other than depressed kid gets abducted by aliens, which could have been cool, but not with what they did with it. Like, I feel like all the past Pixar movies had, like, a really cool concept or a really cool elevator pitch um, that, like, drew people in. Like, it used to be, like, what if blank happened to this? Blank. Like, with Toy Story, it's what if your toys came to life when you weren't watching? Like, that is a instant hook that can get anyone, like, of all ages interested. There is no, like, hook like that in Elio. Or even if like cars, like a world where cars could speak. That's even more interesting than what we got with Elio. Or like the bug's life. What is a bug's life? What do bugs do? Like those all have much stronger concepts than Elio and a lot of the recent original films that Pixar is developing. And I wish they would go back to like choosing these more interesting high concept stories because I just think that that's their bread and butter. That's what they used to be good at. And I don't think I think the stories that they're coming up with, the original ones, are just like very basic and not very interesting. Like the Hopper one is like switching a girl switches like the brain of a beaver or something like that, and it's like that why what is the draw there? Like there's no draw. So I'm just confused. I'm very confused and as much as I like Pete Docter, I think he's a great director. I think he's directed some of my favorite Pixar films. However, I think as a studio head, I don't think he knows how to say no to bad ideas because I think he's afraid of like offending anyone or I think he does not have much business sense. I think he's like only creative. And I think that he's a much better director than he is a studio head. And I think Pixar needs a new studio head. That's what I would say. Keep Pete Docter, but keep him on as like a director or a producer, but not like I don't think he should be in charge of the whole studio. I don't think he can say no to bad ideas because I think he's probably afraid of not being liked. Um, and I think that's why he's afraid of. I think he wants to be liked by his peers at Pixar, but I think he needs to like say no when something's dumb, and I don't think he can do that. So I think we need a new head of Pixar, to be honest. What are your thoughts here? Do you think this is a good model? Do you think this will work? What are your thoughts about what I just said? Caldonia says Bugs Life versus Ants. You know what? I actually always liked Ants more. I love both movies. I actually think Bugs Life is underrated. But I've all between those two, I actually liked Ants more just because I felt like it delved more into like the creative side of what life is like on the microscopic level. Because if you've ever seen ants, then you know that like when they go outside of their little ant hill, like they run into a series of like things, and I just found that to be interesting. So I actually liked ants more than Bugs Life. Donata says, honestly, okay, not gonna talk about that right now. Anything about Pixar? That's part of what I liked about Pixar movies is that each one used to have a slightly different art style from the last. Incredibles looked very different from Toy Story and Brave. Well, I think what you're talking about different art style isn't really different art style. It's just more like the technology got better, so the animation got better. I don't think I actually don't think there is a different art style between those movies you just mentioned. It's just that the animation got better because the technology got better. But the art style has mostly remained incredibly consistent. Oh, Ronnie, you loathed Bugs Life? Oh, I actually really like it. I think it's an underrated Pixar movie. Um, Left on Foria says I heard Elio was frame center to compete with TikTok and Instagram. Is that why they did that? Because you're absolutely right. Because I mean, it was so obvious that I couldn't help but notice, especially by the third act when all the action was happening in the middle of the screen, like literally, like where my head is, like everything happens right here, and then like everything on the sides is just like blurred out, and it's like it's so boring to look at, especially when you look at old school Disney animated films and how like they would fill in like something to look at in every corner. Or you don't even have to go to like old movies. Look at like anime movies. Look at Ghibli movies. They love to fill up every corner with something interesting, like some sort of detail, and they don't do that in Pixar movies anymore. It's just like whatever's in the center frame, and then like we don't care what's on the other sides. And like it's so like boring that it's actually noticeable. So yeah, that was one of the other issues I had with Elio. Um, Wilfred says Elio is like off-brand Lilo and Stitch. I feel like that's offensive to Lilo and Stitch. I don't agree. Um, that's really sad though. Are they really starting to frame these movies for TikTok? Because that I feel like what works for TikTok does not work in like a film medium. They're just two different things. I really hope that's not true, but I can see that being true. Um, but yeah. Anyway, moving on because we actually have a few Disney related news to talk about. So we have to talk about the Fantastic Four trailer. So between Fantastic Four and Superman, because and the reason I bring up both is because they both come out like close to each other, and they're both superhero films, so they're being compared. I am like all over the place because there's been a few clips of Superman. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the clips that have been around on social media, but I don't like the clips. But like, I don't hate them. I feel like if I watch them in context, I might like them more. But they're just like I can't figure out if I'm gonna like this movie or hate it because every time I see something new from that Superman movie, I'm like, sometimes something I like, and then there's something I don't like. So I'm like, I feel like I probably have mixed feelings, but we'll see. But talking about Fantastic Four, my feelings around Fantastic Four have actually been very consistent, and that I think the movie looks very boring. I think it looks safe, and I think it looks boring. I just do. I just do. I don't know. The trailer does nothing to grab me. The trailer really doesn't grab me. I think honestly the only one who looks like they bring any sort of warmth or like character to this movie is Johnny. And he's been the only one that I've been like consistently defending since he was cast because apparently people don't think he's hot, but I kind of do. So like I thought he would have been okay, and it seems like he is the only one that's like really bringing it here. Because in the whole trailer, he's the only one that does of anything interesting or like has any sort of warmth to him. Like I feel like all of the others are just so cold and like impersonal feeling, and maybe that's how they're supposed to be. Like I know that like Sue, like I know that Sue is supposed charisma from Vanessa Kirby. I'm just not feeling it. Like, she just feels like impersonal and distant from the camera. Um, I think she was miscast as Sue Storm. I actually think Jessica Alba. I know that might be controversial to some like comic book fans, but I think Jessica Alba was like more interesting on camera than Vanessa Kirby looks to be so far. And I just worry that this movie is going to feel blah. I mean, I could be wrong. I could see this movie and be blown away. And I have been wrong before. I thought Thunderbolts wasn't going to be good, and I actually ended up liking that movie. But this trailer, all the trailers for Fantastic Four just seem like I don't know what it is. It just seems kind of boring. Like even here, like something's exploding. I should be excited, right? But instead, I'm just like, you know what I think it is? And yes, I do think it's Marvel's fault. Here's what I think it is. It just occurred to me. I think the reason why I'm like not feeling anything that I'm seeing in these trailers, I think it's because I don't know if it'll lead to anything. Like I know it technically will. I know Fantastic Four is supposed to be a big part of Doomsday. But like, how many movies have we seen from Marvel and TV shows? Because we're going to talk about Riri Williams as well. From Marvel, where we watch this stuff and like, it just has no impact on the broader MCU, the broader story. And now I'm seeing this and I'm like, where were they the whole time? Why are we just now getting to them? How does this relate to anything else? And I do feel like my disinterest and frustration with the rest of the MCU is clouding my excitement around this movie. Because I'm just like, okay, but is any of this actually going to pay off? Or is this movie going to disappoint and they're going to like cut all of their roles in Doomsday by half? Like, I feel like at this point anything could happen. And I just don't know if I should get excited or not. I'm gonna be honest, that's how I feel about this movie. And to be on top of the fact that I feel like most of this cast is miscast, especially honestly I think Pedro's pretty miscast here. On top of all of that, I'm just not interested. I'm really not interested. But what do you guys think about this? Are you guys looking forward to Fantastic Four? Do you think these trailers look better or more interesting than I do? What are your thoughts here? Oh, Amanda Seyfried. I would have loved Amanda Seyfried way more than Vanessa Kirby. I mean, to be fair, I have not seen Vanessa's actual performance in the movie, so I'm just judging based on the trailers. However, Amanda Seyfried just immediately has like so much warmth and charisma. I think I keep using the word warmth because I think that's what like Vanessa Kirby in particular, and I keep pointing to her because all the rumors and like I think it's basically confirmed at this point that Sue Storm is the lead of this film, so I'm focusing a lot on her because of that. I just do not feel like she has any warmth to her, like at all. Like, she's very cold to me, like feeling. And I'm just not like, I can't see her carrying a movie. I would have liked Amanda Seyfried a lot better. Does anyone else disagree with me on the Vanessa Kirby issue? Do you think she looks perfect for this? Because I don't know. Are you guys interested in seeing a movie where she's the star here? Are you guys seeing something that I'm not seeing? Um, I know, Rodney. She really is. Amanda Seyfried is still bitter about not being Glinda and said audition 6 times. That's true. I didn't include that as one of my stories here, but I feel like every 5 to 10 business days we hear from Amanda Seyfried about how she almost got Glinda. I could tell, like, you know how Will Smith brings up the Matrix all the time and how he almost got the Matrix? I feel like this is as sore of a wound for Amanda Seyfried is like Will Smith missing out on the Matrix. Because, like, she brings it up all the time. I'm like, girl, I'm sorry, but you didn't get it. And to be honest, I think Ariana was perfect for the role, so like, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think it's very funny that she keeps bringing that up. Um, okay, Jordan, you agree with me? That's nice. Um, Ethereal Dragon says it's the Fantastic Four, not Sue and Friends. Well, from everything that I'm hearing about this movie, it sounds like this movie is Sue and Friends. Um, Caledonia says she's a freaking British woman. Is it because she's British? Is that what I'm picking up? Am I feeling the Britishness rub off of her? Is that it? Um, that's funny. That's actually really funny. Is she really British? She feels British. Um, okay, will you like Vanessa and Joseph's casting? Yeah, Joseph is the only one that I feel like is, I do think is well cast. I just don't like how he's styled. Um, Rodney says if Margot Robbie did this role, she would have been a DC villain and Marvel hero. I think, because you're right, Margot Robbie was also considered for Sue Storm. I think Margot Robbie would have been 10 times better here. Like, I think she would have brought so much to this movie. I also think there would just be generally more interest in this movie. It could just be my own algorithm, my own timeline, but I do feel like just generally people seem more excited for Superman than Fantastic Four. I don't know if that's how it's going to turn out at the box office, because, like, DC fans are, like, they're often loud online, but they don't show up, so I don't know. But I do feel like the hype and interest around Fantastic Four is not as high as it could be. And I do think if they just chose, like, more exciting actors, like Margot Robbie, I think this would just generally, naturally have more discussion around it. Cheetah Viper says the cast is not doing it for you. Okay. Um, Christian, you said you're experiencing audio issues? Is anyone else experiencing that? Please let me know. But anyway, I just had to talk about Fantastic Four because there's a new trailer and I'm still gonna see it. I am gonna see it. I'm gonna see it the weekend it comes out. In fact, I already have my tickets. So I will be reviewing it on time and I'll have a whole video, so make sure you subscribe and wait for that. And I'm doing that for Superman as well. So I'm seeing all of that. But we'll see, we'll see. Wouldn't it be wild if I ended up hating Superman but loving Fantastic Four? It totally could happen. But I'm just not seeing that right now. Um, okay. It seems like most people are saying my audio is fine, but there are two people who say otherwise. So I don't know, it might just be your system, because it doesn't seem like it's everyone's. Um, yes, if it gets any worse, just let me know, but I think it seems fine for now. So let's move on to the next topic. So yes, let's talk about Ironheart. So, like I told you last week, I think I'm pretty much done with Marvel television. Um, I didn't finish Daredevil, and I didn't even start Ironheart. I think I just the shows are not good for the most part. Although I do hear like this one has like mixed to positive reviews. I do think there's some people who really hate it, but those are the same people that would have hated it anyway. So I don't know if I can fully trust them. Um, but like I don't know. I this show was designed specifically to appeal to me. I am the target audience for this. I've said like for many other things like F1 that I was not the target audience. However, for this movie for this show, I am the target audience. I definitely am like the person. I'm a Marvel fan. I've seen all their Marvel stuff. I'm a black woman. Like this show is for me. And I don't care. I know. I'm sorry. Like I don't. And it's not because like obviously not because it's about a black woman. It's just like at this point like I've watched so many Marvel shows that weren't good that my faith that they'll be good is gone. Like as I've said before, or I don't know if I've said this online, but I've talked about this with like people in real life. Um but like there's this sort of like mentality in Hollywood that if you put minorities into something that minorities will show up. And I think that is a very like cynical, simplistic, naive worldview. And I also think it's a little bit like I would almost put it in like the category of like bigotry of low expectations, because it's like, why didn't you go see this thing? We put black people in it. And it's like, us black people care a lot more than just about our skin color. We also care about, I don't know, the plot, if it's good, the quality. Like, if we don't care about the quality, or if the quality's not there, or the plot's not good, like, we don't care if it's an all black cast. We're not going to watch it. So, this idea that, like, black people are supposed to watch it just because it's meant for us, I do think is, like, peak liberal hypocrisy, but that's an entire different thing. Um, and like nothing from the trailers made it look interesting. In fact, it look from the few clips that I've seen on social media, this actually looks patronizing. Like it's like they tried to make it like very young and hip. It's like, oh God, please make it stop. It's like, why did you have to even shoot it differently? Like, what what do you think? I don't know. It just really bothers me. Um, but yeah, I didn't watch it. Are you guys watching it? If so, are you enjoying it? Please, if you are, I want to know. Just let me know in the chat. um, Quasar says Disney Plus really ruined Marvel. Nobody watching and just checked out. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like I hung on longer than most people. Like I've seen most of the Disney Plus shows. The only ones that I didn't watch, I didn't finish Secret Wars because I was not Secret War. Uh, the one with Fury in it. I forgot the name of it. Well, I didn't finish that one because I was like, this is terrible. I didn't finish Daredevil because I got bored. I never even watched Echo because they dropped it all at once and I just never got to it. And I was like, who the heck is Echo? And the reason I didn't know who Echo was because I didn't finish Hawkeye because I always thought that was boring. I never even got to like her episode, so I didn't even know who Echo was. Um, but everything else I've seen, like everything else that I have seen. So I've seen more than the average person. I have dealt with, put up with more than the average person, okay? I tried. I tried. But they just there's only so much one person can take and like I think I just lost interest. I really did. I'm still watching the movies though. I'm just talking about the TV shows. I think I'm just done. Secret Invasion, yeah, Secret Invasion. That was so bad. That was so bad. I could have stopped in and I didn't. I still kept going. Like, this is how much I tried. Secret Invasion didn't stop me and I still kept going and I can't do it anymore. um Ethereal Dragon says, no clue why Echo got her own show. I think they made an Echo show because she's deaf. And I think they made that show when they thought that like every minority would see something in Marvel if they just made something about them. I really think the lesson they learned from Black Panther was that if we put black people in it, black people will see it. Not, oh, maybe if we actually make a really good movie, more people will see it. That should have been the lesson they took from Black Panther, but no, they took it and made it about race and made it about like, oh, if we make something for every demographic, then we can get every demographic. And it's like, no, 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 no. We care about story first. No black person would have cared about Black Panther if it was a terrible movie. I'm just gonna tell you. Um, but yeah. Prototype says Marvel doesn't deserve your dedication, Brittany. I mean, how many of us are still out there like putting up the good fight, watching everything? I do feel like it's a smaller and smaller audience. I really do. Oh, Nagisa says Secret Invasion was the last Marvel TV you watched. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It was that bad. Danny, Marvel needs to stop harassing us with the TV shows. Not harassing. Um, yeah, She-Hulk was pretty bad. Honestly, the only ones I liked are like WandaVision, um, with Agatha. I liked most of Loki, and I think that's it. That's really it. That's how bad like most of the shows are. Um, but yeah, so that's my little take on Ironheart and why I don't think it's doing that well. So let's move on. So I also wanted to go into Superman reviews. So some people have seen it, some people have seen like the first 30 minutes, and I just wanted to go over what people are saying because I actually think majority of the comments are positive, but the few that are negative, I think say a lot about what this movie actually will be like. So this one just said like the first 30 minutes of Superman starting to come out, some of the things that people are saying. Wait, no, not this one. Um, Okay, this one says Superman feels generational, like Raimi's Spider-Man or Burton's Batman. It's a bold, heartfelt beginning to a new DC era with Superman finally shining as the best of them. David is magnetic as both Clark and Superman, charming, hopeful, and heroic. Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane is sharp, funny, and my favorite yet. So this was a very positive take. Um, this one says Superman was a 10 out of 10 for them. It's like it has some of the action from Henry Cavill, which is nice. Um, yeah, some of the things that people have been describing about it is that it's like Superman 2 on steroids, that it's very silly, that the tone is like very humorous, so like very James Gunn, basically. That seems to be very consistent across all the reviews. Um, some are calling it the best Superman reboot since Man of Steel, which I didn't like Man of Steel, so that's a low bar for me. Um, but yeah, generally the reactions are positive. Like they are positive, and I wanted to go into what some others are saying. So Robert Meyer Burnett, who I really like, he said a friend saw James Gunn's Superman today. He said it's 180 degrees away from Zack Snyder's vision. He told me a lot of things, probably too much. He said the trailers have been a bit of a misdirect, but the most important thing was he really, really liked it. And I respect Robert Meyer Burnett's opinions because I genuinely think that like he's a fan, but he's still like it's a cinema fan first in a way. So like he agrees with me on like say for example, Deadpool versus Wolverine. Like I, as you guys know, I really did not like that movie at all, and a lot of the reasons I didn't like it were the same reasons that Robert Meyer Burnett didn't like it. And so I think we have like similar tastes in films here. So I know he's not saying he's seen it, but a friend has. But this gives me a lot of hope that this movie might be something I actually like. So we'll see. Also, from Daniel Rickman, he said he hears Superman is good. That's good. Superman has been described as a live action episode of Superman the Animated Series. So these are all good things. I think these are all very positive signs. I'm glad that the reviews are so positive. People are calling it unique and beautiful, but I will say some of the few like negative things that I have heard about this movie are from people who really liked Man of Steel. Like really, really liked Man of Steel. Like if you liked the darker, more edgy, more like adult take on Superman, this is probably not a movie you're going to like because it's very much a more lighthearted, youthful, fun movie than Man of Steel. And if you liked the whole like emo Jesus thing that Zack Snyder did with Man of Steel, this is probably not the movie for you. However, if you're like me and you've always been a Man of Steel hater because you don't like that take, this sounds like more up my alley. But then again, some of the clips that I've been seeing, like the humor just feels off. And like James Gunn's humor can work, but it also cannot work sometimes. Like I really don't like Guardians 2, but I love Guardians 1 and 3. So if this is more like Guardians 2, which I'm kind of fearing it could be, I'm a little worried about that. But like honestly, some of the things that I'm hearing just from the reviews make me feel good because this is what I wanted to hear. So who knows? Who knows? What are your thoughts about some of the reviews? Do you have high hopes for Superman? What are your thoughts here? Morbid and Sarcastic says, this makes me so happy because the animated series is so good and I've always said they need to channel the animated movies / shows. Yeah, I think the animated show has that like classic like he's like the good old boy, you know, he's all about the American way. Like that's what I wanted from Superman. That's what I've always wanted from Superman. That's why I did not like Henry Cavill's version because he was just so depressing and angry all the time, and I was like, this is not Superman. Um, so the fact that it is more like that kind of Superman makes me feel like I'm going to like this movie, but who knows? Because I haven't liked everything I've seen from like the clips and trailers, so I honestly don't know how I'm going to feel about this. Oh, Natanya, you like all three? That's nice. I wish I liked the second one more, but I really don't. And the reason I didn't like the second one is because I thought the humor ruined it for me. And I didn't like uh, the whole dad storyline with ego and everything. That didn't really click with me. Um, I hope it's a good movie. It has to be a good movie. Just to remind you guys, like, Warner Brothers kind of needs this movie to do well because, like, they're depending on it for, like, the future of their whole company. So, a lot's riding on this film. Let's hope it's good and let's hope it actually does well. But I am very nervous about it. I wouldn't say it's a sure thing. Not at all. But I will see it, like I said, and I will review it, so make sure you subscribe if you want to see my review. So let's talk about James Bond. Okay, firstly, before we even get to, like, who they're considering for James Bond, I also want to talk about the fact that they did get a director. So, Denis Villeneuve will be directing the new James Bond movie. So, this is a rebooted James Bond. They're getting a new James Bond. This is after Amazon bought the property, so this will be an Amazon movie. Brought to you by Amazon Prime, which is funny. But yeah, they decided on a director, and it's Denis Villeneuve, which is interesting. I really like Denis. As you guys know, I really like the Dune movies. I think the Dune movies are amazing. I'm interested that it's him and not Christopher Nolan, because Christopher Nolan was talking about a while ago how, like, doing Bond was like one of his dream properties to make a movie for. So I bet you like real money that they probably went to Christopher Nolan first, and then he probably said no, and then they went to Denis Villeneuve, because I bet you they probably wanted Christopher Nolan, but he likely said no. And maybe he said no because apparently Denis wasn't given the final cut in the film, and maybe they weren't going to give the final cut to Christopher Nolan either. And Christopher Nolan seems the kind of guy that, like, needs the final cut. So he probably didn't like that Amazon probably has a lot of strings attached with this position. Like, it doesn't seem like Denis is going to be able to do, like, just whatever. Apparently he's only signed to direct one movie, and he might not even get to direct another if it's not successful. This tells me that I think Amazon and Sony will probably, like, have their hands all over this franchise. This will be very much a, like, not just a Denis Villeneuve managed movie, but, like, very much a studio directed movie, if you know what I mean. And I can see that probably scaring Christopher Nolan away. But these are apparently the actors they are considering for Bond. So they do want a younger Bond. They've made that very clear. These are the actors they're considering. Sorry. Hold on. They're considering Jacob Elordi, Tom Holland, and Harris Dickinson. So this tells me they're not just looking for young. They're looking like for very young. They're basically looking for, like, early 30s, which I think would be among one of the youngest Bonds that they've ever had. Certainly a lot younger than Daniel Craig, who I think by the last movie was a tad too old for the role. So I can see why they wanted to go with someone younger, especially because, like, this is a role that they're probably going to want to make, like, several movies with that could last, like, a decade or more. So they want someone that's young enough that can, like, age with the role. So I can understand why they want to go with someone younger. However, are these too young? Because I do know that these are controversial picks, especially Tom Holland, who apparently is the favorite out of these three, according to all the rumors. So, Tom Holland has been saying that he wants to be Bond so bad. Apparently, he even met with the Broccoli's a few years ago. The Broccoli's are the ones that used to own and, like, manage Bond. And, like, he, like, begged for the role. So, like, he really wants it. So, like, Tom Holland, apparently a big Bond fan. I didn't know that, but he is. So, he wants the role. And apparently, he's the favorite out of the three for the role. Are you seeing where I'm going with this? How would you guys feel about Tom Holland being the next Bond? I know he looks very young. I know he's my age. He's 29. But he looks very young. He still looks like a high schooler, which is perfect for, he's it's perfect for Spider-Man. It's great that he looks young for because he looks perfect for Spider-Man. But I don't know if I think for some he looks too young to play Bond because they're used to like Daniel Craig playing him, who was like very much an older, chiseled Bond. And I don't. They're obviously going for something very different than that. And I think if they're going for a younger Bond, I think Tom is not a terrible choice. I know this is controversial. I know some of you are going to disagree. But here, let me explain why I don't think Tom is a terrible choice here. Firstly, he's actually British, which I like. I don't like that they're even considering Americans. I think Bond should definitely be British. Two, I think that he can pull off the suaveness that Bond needs. I think he can pull that off. I really do. I think Bond needs to be someone who can like feel cool or look cool. And like, while I wouldn't say Tom Holland is cool, I think he can pull off being like a suave kind of guy. And the reason why I say that is because I saw him in that video game live action movie that he did with Mark Wahlberg. I forgot the name of it, but I saw him in that, and I kind of liked that he had a different energy in that movie than like his previous movies. Like he very much tried to come across as older in that film, and while he still looked very young, I feel like I believed he had that swagger, and that's why I think that he could bring that same swagger to Bond. He is capable of pulling that off, which is I think good for him. Also, I think Bond kind of has to be Uncharted. That's the name of the movie. Bond kind of has to be very different than he used to be because we just live in a very different world, right? I'm not saying we need to neuter him. I'm not saying he can't be like a womanizer or whatever. In fact, I still want him to be that because Bond is supposed to be like the archetype of like every man's dream. Basically, he's supposed to be like the womanizing, cigar smoking, whiskey drinking, like badass who like does everything in a tux. He's supposed to be like every guy's who like every guy dreams to be essentially. And I feel like in this day and age, what that dream is a little different than what it used to be when like Bond was first created. And I think that, and again, I don't know, I'm not a guy, but like guys, maybe you can speak up in the chat here, but I feel like a sort of younger, slightly softer Bond would match more of like the kind of man that exists today. And that's why I feel like that I don't have a problem with Tom Holland, even though I know a lot of you do. So let's have it out in the chat. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why he's horrible. Tell me why this list is awful, because I already know it's going to come. What are your thoughts here? Okay, Caldonia's laughing at me. I didn't say he's cool. I said I stopped myself short from saying he's cool. He's not cool, but I do think he can bring a certain swagger that I've seen him have in other movies. I think he has it. He just doesn't often show it, obviously not for Spider-Man. I think he can. I wouldn't say he's cool, but I also think that like him being kind of not cool. Um, Danny says Bond needs to be a panty dropper. Maybe that's why I like, because I always liked Tom. I always thought he was cute. He's not ruggedly handsome. I will say he's not ruggedly like masculine machismo kind of guy. That's very true. But again, I don't think that's what they're looking for. So out of what they're looking for, I don't think he's a terrible choice. But maybe we just disagree about what they should be looking for. Okay, so the stream stopped for you because it did glitch for a second for me. So I'm just gonna repeat what I said when it did like freeze for a second. I said that he's not cool. Tom is not cool. That's true. However, again, I think to reflect a lot of men today, I don't think a lot of men are like that machismo type, to say lightly. So I think that like this still fits in my opinion. But again, if you're a man in my chat who took offense to that, tell me I'm wrong. What are your thoughts here? Robert Pattinson over Tom Holland? I do like Robert Pattinson, but I do feel like Robert Pattinson kind of has like an unhingedness to him that I love, but I don't think that fits Bond. Like Bond is supposed to have his stuff together, you know? Like he's supposed to like have, be the smartest one in the room. And I feel like no offense to Robert Pattinson because I really like him. I don't think that's like Robert Pattinson's like MO. You know what I mean? He's the most unhinged one in the room probably, but I don't know if he's like the smartest. I don't think he's not smart. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's not like his persona. Whereas I do think Tom Holland can pull off being nerdy because he's done it before. Um Okay, Shelly Lee, you do not agree. I knew a lot of you guys would disagree with this, so I know. I know. Um Ethereal Dragon, you thought Daniel Craig was not a good choice either. I thought he was. I actually thought he was a really good choice for Bond. I just think in the last movie he was too old and they needed to recast, but I think he was a good Bond. Ryan Gosling is American. I really think Bond needs to be British. Uncle Tom wants an American? No, 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 no. This is like such a quintessentially British character. I'm not even British, and I would be offended if he wasn't British. Um, Ronnie says he's gonna be playing Spider-Man till he's 50. Maybe, yeah, could be. Josh O'Connor, Rodney. I actually like that one. I like that one actually. Josh O'Connell's a good idea, but he's not on the list. He's not on the short list. But I actually like that one idea. I like that idea too. I do not like Theo James. Theo James is so like B movie like TV level actor to me. I do not like Theo James. I'm gonna say no to him. Um, oh, some of you really like him though. I don't know about that. Danielle says they need someone hot and charming like young Leonardo DiCaprio. Do you guys not think Tom Holland is hot and charming? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just personal. But I think if I hadn't seen him in an Uncharted and like seen how he can do something else, I would be agreeing with you guys. But I do think he has more range than he's giving credit for. But I do think Josh O'Connor would be a better pick than Tom Holland. I would agree with that. Timothy Chalamet is a no. I don't think Timothy Chalamet is a fit. He's too scrawny. Sorry, but he is. Jack Black. Y'all, be serious. Jonathan Bailey. Is he British? I do like Jonathan Bailey. Maybe, but I don't know about him. Um, I'm seeing interesting. I'm seeing most of you are like not here for any of these choices because you're all naming like other people, but they're not on the list. They're not on the list. I'm sorry. Ashley says Tom Holland cannot be James Bond. Some of you are very against this, and I understand the instinct. I do. However, I just think that like I don't know. It could work. It could work. We'll see. We'll see. That super says Tom Holland is boy next door. I think he's trying to get away from that image. I do think he currently has that, yes. However, I think he could do more. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Um, but we'll see. Let's move on to the next thing. Because I know I'm reading the chat and y'all are like, what about this guy? What about this guy? None of you agree with me. Which is fine. Which is fine. We don't all have to agree. Let's move on. So the Social Network Part 2 is in the works, which finally, I feel like we could have even had a third one by now with how much material has been out there. But Aaron Sorkin is set to write and direct, and but it is unknown if Jesse Eisenberg will return as Mark Zuckerberg. I think he kind of has to, because who wants to watch someone else play him? He was kind of perfect. Also, as I said, there has been so much material up to this point that I kind of felt like a part two could have been done, like low key, like 8 years ago. Like, when was that Cambridge Analytica thing that came out where like that whole scandal with Facebook? I feel like part two should have came out around then, because now part three is like the metaverse and AI, and like we're not even like. I feel like Zuckerberg doesn't even focus on actual Facebook anymore. He's all about like virtual reality and AI and stuff, and like I don't even think. I mean, what is this movie even going to be about? Like, there's so much to cover. Like, is this going to like go across time? Like, are we going to see, like, is it going to go from the ending of part one up till present day? Are we going to go over like the metaverse stuff? Like, I'm very curious about what they're going to cover in this movie, but I do feel like there's a lot there, so I'm here for it. What do you guys think about a Social Network part two? Are you guys looking forward to this? Or do you think we need a part two? What are your thoughts? I would love if Brenda Song came back. I'm here for the Brenda Song renaissance. I think that's so good for her. Um, Becky, one person agrees with me. Thank you, Becky. Becky says, I agree. I think Tom Holland could work and surprise people. That's what I'm saying. I think he has more range than he's given credit. Um, Danny says, who still uses Facebook? I don't know. I don't even use Facebook, but that's why I'm like, I feel like that at this point, the sequel should be about more than just Facebook, since a lot has changed and evolved since the first movie came out. I don't think this should just be about Facebook. I think it's going to be about probably about social media in general and what's happened with that. That would be my guess. Um, Rob, I feel like I'm the only person who actually really liked a King's Speech and thought it should have won. I know everyone else thinks that, because that was the same year, right? The King's Speech and the Social Network. Like, everyone was mad that the King's Speech won. I actually really like that movie. I actually really like that movie. But yes, I know the Social Network is the one that's, I think, more remembered, so it probably should have won. But I think the King's Speech was a good movie. Um, yeah, he has to return as Mark. I don't see how they can do a sequel without Jesse Eisenberg. He's kind of, like, very key to this. Um, Morbid and Sarcastic says it will probably involve the drama with Facebook and the government. Yeah, I think that would be part of it. That's what I was talking about when I said Cambridge Analytica. That was that whole like. Remember those memes where like Mark was on trial and he looked like his eyes were huge and he looked terrified? That's what that was from. That's what I'm talking about. I think they're going to cover that trial. Um, and I think they're probably going to talk about some of the modern day stuff, like which is all about AR and AI and virtual reality and stuff. Um, Denisha says, surprisingly, my Generation Z still uses Facebook. I think Facebook is good if you're like just trying to talk to people you actually know in real life. But if you don't want to talk to people you know in real life, that's like the last place you want to be. Um, but yes, that's my take on Social Network. I think there's a lot to cover, and I actually think this could be really good. Although Aaron Sorkin, I don't know about how I feel about Aaron Sorkin these days, to be honest. But anyway, Squid Game. Squid Game season 3 just came out. It ended after 4 years. It's a very controversial final season, very controversial ending. I won't spoil it for anyone. However, I do feel like a lot less people are talking about season 3, like off a cliff, like a lot less. I don't know if maybe again it's just my algorithm or what, but I feel like no one's talking about Squid Game anymore. I feel like they like squeezed every last juice out of this franchise that they could. Um, are you guys still into Squid Game? Are you still watching it? Did you watch season 3? Are you caring? What are your thoughts on Squid Game now? They're still doing an American version of Squid Game, by the way. So, like, this isn't the end of the franchise. This is just the end of the Korean version. And then we're going to start with the American version. Because they're just not going to let this thing die. Even though it might have already died. I don't know. Are you guys actually watching season 3? Rodney says Squid Game season 3. I did watch it last night and lost for words. Okay, that doesn't sound good. Hated the ending. Squid Game was brilliant. Okay, so I'm seeing some mixed opinions here. Ethan, you don't have to feel embarrassed. That's not. There's nothing embarrassing about that. Rodney, you're nervous about the American version of Squid Game. Yeah, I think the American version has a lot to live up to, but also I feel like the vibe of this show is so Korean. I can't imagine American version. Like, isn't like as Prototype just said, is the American version just gonna be like Mr. Beast? Because like Mr. Beast literally has done like Squid Game replications on his channel that are like as good of quality as like the real thing. Is that gonna be the American version? I don't understand. I don't know. I'm confused. But Danny says it wasn't bad at all. Okay, so some people liked it, some people didn't. I haven't watched season 3 yet, so I can't tell you, but I have been spoiled, so I know what happens. Um, I just think that maybe like the show should have just been maybe 2 seasons. I don't know if it needed a third season. I don't know if it needs an American spin-off. I don't know. I just don't know if like this franchise has enough juice in it for that. Because really the only part that really interests people are the challenges. So outside of the challenges, are people gonna care? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like this is kind of something that had its moment, and like they're really trying to drag it out, but I don't know if they can. So we'll see. We'll see. Again, not spoiling anything, but we'll see how people feel about the American version, or if people even watch that one. Because I do feel like this is just like a very Korean show. So I don't know how an American version would work. Now this one, man, I was so excited then got so depressed. So a live action Bratz movie is in the works, and that was the part where I was like, yay! Because if you guys have been watching me for a long time, you know that like when Barbie was like huge, I was talking about how much they needed to do a live action Bratz movie. Because I didn't even play with Barbies when I was a kid. I played with Bratz dolls. Like that's what I played with when I was a kid. So I would love a live action Bratz movie. However, I do not want Kim Kardashian playing the villain. I do not want that. I do not want that. I do not want Kim Kardashian or the Kardashians within like a 10-foot pole of Bratz. I don't understand why this family has to ruin everything. And yes, I'm a Kardashian hater. I do not like that family. I do not keep up with the Kardashians. So I don't even understand. I don't think the audience who likes Bratz dolls are gonna. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I kind of feel like everyone doesn't like Kim these days. Like, I feel like her brand is very much in the mud. Like, no one likes her. So I kind of feel like it's appropriate that she's playing the villain, but I also don't know who's going to be excited that she's in the movie. Like, who's going to go see this because Kim Kardashian's in it? Like, Kim Kardashian was in um, the last season of American Horror Story, right? And, like, no one cared. No one cared because no one likes her anymore. The Kardashians in general are a lot less relevant than they used to be. So I just feel like these are two like brands that should not go together. And I want a live action Bratz movie. However, I do not want Kim Kardashian in my Bratz movie. So how do you guys feel about this? Do you think that she adds to this movie? Do you even want this movie? How do you feel about it? Um Rob says, can she act? The few things I've seen her in is no. She acts like herself. That's how I would describe it. Danny says, keep Will Ferrell far away from this project, please. That's so random. Why? Oh, because Will Ferrell was in Barbie. I don't think he would do it. I don't think so. I mean, that would be like Will Ferrell playing the same role 3 times in a row. Because the role he played in Barbie was essentially the same role he played in the Lego movie. So I don't think he'll play the same role a third time. Hopefully not. Um, why does everything feel like an SNL skit now? Yeah, this kind of gives SNL skit energy. I will. That's a good point. That's a good point. Um, what do you mean I'm 4 years behind? I've never liked Kim Kardashian. I'm an OG hater, so you can't say I'm behind. I'm the OG hater. um, what? So you're saying everyone likes her now since she passed the bar? I disagree. Who likes her now? All I see whenever I see Kardashian's name on social media is negativity. I disagree about that. Prototype says, I want a Bratz movie, but I don't want them to be all self-aware consumerism like Barbie. Yeah, me either. I kind of want something that's more like fun. That's more just like living the life of a Bratz doll rather than like, oh no, we're a doll. I don't want that either. I agree. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to a Bratz movie, just not with freaking Kim Kardashian. Um, but anyway, moving on. This is the last thing I wanted to go over because I actually thought this was pretty depressing. But there was, I forgot who is it? Yeah, the New York Times. The New York Times just released a list of the 30 best films of the 21st century, according to over 500 actors, directors, and other names in Hollywood. And I actually thought this list was pretty depressing for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the number one movie on this list is Parasite, which is not even an American-made film. It's a Korean film. They're saying, out of all the 21st century, of all the movies that have been made so far, they think the best movie was one not even made by Hollywood. That's pretty damning. That's pretty bad for Hollywood. And also, as much as I like Parasite, it's not even my favorite Bong Joon-ho movie. So I don't feel like it deserves number one. Like, maybe I would put it in the top 30, but I would not put it even in the top 10. So the fact that it's number one is crazy to me. Also, I do not like There Will Be Blood. I don't like that ending. The ending ruins the whole movie for me. So I don't like There Will Be Blood. The fact that that's number 3 is also crazy to me. Moonlight, I agree with being in the top 5. I think Moonlight is a phenomenal movie. I think it could even be higher. If Moonlight was number 1, I would say that was accurate. I think Moonlight is genuinely a great movie. No Country for Old Men, that's a great movie. Eternal Sunshine, how is that only number 7? That should be higher. That should be higher. Spirited Away at number 9. I feel like that's accurate, actually. Honestly, I feel like that's accurate. I would put that at number 9. That's a good point. The Social Network, speaking of that movie, it's at number 10. I do like that movie, but is it top 10? I don't know. Mad Max number 11, no. I fully disagree with Mad Max Fury Road being at number 11. I liked that movie, but I never understood the, like, obsessive praise that film got. Like, the story was just not there. It's just literally all vibes and visuals, which I guess the vibes and visuals were pretty cool, but the story I felt like was very lacking. I don't know. Mad Max being a number 11 is way too high for me. Inglourious Bastards, number 14. I do love Inglourious Bastards. I am glad to see that on the list. I do think that's very deserved. Brokeback Mountain being number 17. I'm glad that's on the list. I think that's deserved. Wolf of Wall Street, I'm surprised that's number 20. I thought that would have been higher. Grand Budapest Hotel. I don't understand the love for that movie. I thought it was good, but like number 22? I disagree with that. Boyhood, I actually really liked Boyhood. I know that movie got a lot of hate during its Oscar season because people thought the whole like filming over years was a gimmick, but I actually really liked Boyhood. I'm not surprised to see on this list, so that's my hot take. Her, I'm not surprised is on this list, especially since I think people currently today are living the life of her. Like, Her was very prophetic. Can't believe Phantom Thread is on here. Get that off here. Like, why is Phantom Thread on here? Anatomy of a Fall too? No. The Dark Knight only at 28? Y'all, The Dark Knight at 28? That should be in the top 10. I truly believe Dark Knight is like the language of the modern blockbuster. Every blockbuster after The Dark Knight was just like, what if we did this, but like The Dark Knight? Like, The Dark Knight being number 28 is crazy. That deserves top 10. Arrival 29. I mean, I liked Arrival, but really top 30. Lost in Translation is a really good movie. I would put Lost in Translation like top 20. Some of these movies are good, but like some of these I'm like, really top 30. Also, I feel like if these are the top 30 best movies of the century so far, I feel like that just shows you how much like Hollywood has fallen off. Because like these are all great movies, but like I feel like there are much better ones? And if these are the best, then like I feel like that's just kind of damning. I don't know. Do you guys think this is a good list? What do you think of this list? Okay, Rodney thinks it's interesting. Okay. Denisha, you agree with me about Mad Max. I'm glad. You agree with me about Mad Max. You said it was just vibes and visuals as well as Budapest Hotel. Yeah, Budapest Hotel is another like vibes and visuals movie where I was just like, what? There's no story, but the visuals are cool. Um, Ashley says, whoever made this list doesn't actually watch movies. They just putting down things that are critically acclaimed. Yeah, because, like, why is the Phantom Thread on here? I'm sorry. Not to pick on that one movie, but that's the one that stands out to me the most as, like, really does not deserve to be on here. Like, out of all the Daniel D. Lewis movies, you went with Phantom Thread? Are you kidding me? Yeah, Lost in Translation should be a lot higher. I agree. Especially higher than freaking Phantom Thread. Um, okay, Ashley, you think Mad Max should be top five? I disagree. Prototype, you're pissed that Arrival is behind The Dark Knight. I'm just pissed that The Dark Knight is so low down. I think that's. I know film is like subjective, but I kind of feel like objectively, there hasn't been a more influential film this century than The Dark Knight. So the fact that it's that low is I think crazy. Um, yeah. Oh, Denisha. Well, Get Out's on the list. I think that's the only horror movie on this one. But yeah, not a lot of horror movies on this list, which is interesting. Um, Josh says the Social Network getting a sequel is so fascinating. I think it's fascinating too. I think there's a lot that they can cover. I think it could be a good movie. No animated movies. Well, there's Spirited Away. I think that's the only animated movie on this list. Um, yeah, I think more animated movies should be on this list. Hell, I think Wally deserves to be on this list. I think Wally's like actually a masterpiece. Um, like unironically. I would definitely put Wally over freaking Phantom Thread. Um, well, what are your thoughts here? Yeah, I think Inglorious Bastards could be higher. I think that movie is fantastic. I actually think Inglorious Bastards has the best opening of any film I've ever seen. That opening scene is like you could teach that in film schools for the rest of time. Um Oh no, Danielle, you only like 2 out of the 30. That's not good. That's not good. Yes, Parasite was good. That's super. I will agree Parasite is a good movie. But number 1, the best movie made this century? No, I do not agree at all. I don't even agree that's Bong Joon-ho's best movie. Like, thoroughly do not agree with that, even though I liked Parasite. I even liked 1917, because I know 1917 was in the same Oscar year as Parasite. I actually liked 1917 more, so I would have. I don't know if I would put 1917 on this list, but like, that's how much I don't think Parasite should be number one. Um. Oh, you agree with me about Wally? Yay! Ashley Grand Budapest getting mentioned. Oh, I'm glad that you like that movie. I don't know. I feel like this list overall is missing some really big films. No Avatar, which is I think also crazy. No Marvel movies, but I'm not surprised. I think there could be more animated. So yeah, I'm not super in love with this list. I gotta say, I think there's some movies here missing, and I think some of the ordering here is wrong. But yeah, I just thought I would share this list because I thought it was interesting. But anyway, that is it for today. Thank you so much for coming to the show. I'm so glad that you guys always come every day. We actually had a very long discussion this time. It went on way longer than I thought. But thank you all for being here. I'll see you guys next week, and I'll see you then. Bye.